Evelyn walked back into town before dawn. The streets were empty. The lamps glowed dim orange. She kept looking behind her, half expecting to see shadows following her. But there was nothing. When she reached her house, her father was waiting on the porch. He looked older than she remembered. His eyes were red and tired. He asked where she had been. She didn't know what to say. She just handed him the diary. He took it with shaking hands. He opened the cover and saw the name Isabella Whitaker. His face went pale. He whispered, "Your mother told me about that name." Evelyn felt cold. She asked him what he meant. Her father sat down. He told her a story. He said long ago, Shadow House belonged to the Whitaker family. Isabella Whitaker was Evelyn's great-grandmother. She practiced dark rituals, trying to live forever. But something went wrong. She awakened the shadows in the house. The darkness grew. People started to vanish. One night, Isabella disappeared too. After that, the house was abandoned. Evelyn's mother was warned to stay away, but she was drawn to the place just like Evelyn. And that was the night Evelyn's mother died. Her father looked at her. He said he thought the house had claimed Evelyn too. He said he was sorry for never telling her the truth. Evelyn hugged her father. She felt his tears on her shoulder. Over the next few days, Evelyn studied the diary. She learned about the dark things Isabella did. She read about how the shadows needed fear to survive. The house fed on anyone who entered. She also learned that breaking the mirror broke the bond. The house could no longer trap souls. The shadows lost their power. She felt proud. She had ended the curse. But late at night, Evelyn began to dream. She dreamed of the man in the suit. He stood in the ruins of the broken mirror. He looked straight at her through the darkness. His voice echoed in her head. "This is not over." She woke up sweating. The diary lay on her desk. Its cover was open. The last page was blank. But as she looked, words began to appear on the empty page. They formed slowly, like they were being written by an invisible hand. The shadows always return. The next morning, Evelyn went to the library to research Shadow House. She found old newspapers about missing children, strange lights, and stories of people hearing voices from the woods near the house. She realized Shadow House had a long history of evil. It was older than Isabella Whitaker, older than the town itself. No one knew who built it first. No one knew why it was there. Some stories said the land was cursed before the house even stood. Evelyn knew she needed to find the truth. If she didn't, the shadows would come again. One evening, Evelyn packed her bag. She put the diary inside. She took her flashlight, extra batteries, and her mother's locket. She left her house before sunset. She reached Shadow House as the last light faded. The house looked the same as before, silent, broken, empty. But the air felt different, felt heavier. She stepped through the iron gates again. The grass was dead. The wind was still. No sound came from the forest. She stood in front of the doors. She told herself she wasn't afraid. She knew she had to finish what she started. Then she stepped inside once more. The doors of Shadow House closed behind Evelyn with a deep, heavy sound. She walked through the entry hall. The portraits were blank now, like the faces had faded. The walls were quiet. The broken mirror in the library was still shattered. Pieces of black glass lay on the floor, cold and sharp. But Evelyn felt something else. Presence. Like the house was awake again. She opened the diary. The words on the last page were gone. The page was blank. She whispered, "What do you want from me?" A cold wind blew through the library. The pages of the diary turned by themselves. They stopped on a page Evelyn had never read before. It said, "The shadows were only bound, not destroyed. They need a new home, a new host." She felt a chill crawl up her spine. A voice whispered in the dark corners of the room. It sounded like 100 voices speaking as one. They said, "You belong to us." Evelyn turned and ran. She passed the ballroom. The broken chandelier swung slowly, creaking without wind. She ran down the hall of mirrors. The reflections showed shadows moving, reaching for her. But there was nothing behind her in the real hallway. She reached the basement door. It stood open. A black stairway led down into darkness. She knew the source of the house's power had to be below. She stepped onto the first stair. The basement air was thick and wet. Mold climbed the stone walls. The steps went deeper than they should have, like the basement reached underground forever. She heard whispers all around her. Some called her name softly. Some screamed it. At the bottom, she found a huge stone chamber. In the center was an ancient well, sealed with a rusted iron lid. Symbols were carved around the well in strange letters. She couldn't read them, but they felt old, evil. The shadows swirled around the edges of the chamber. She saw shapes moving, hands reaching out, faces half-formed in darkness, eyes blinking open and shut. They were waiting for her. She opened the diary. The words appeared again. "Seal the well with light, or the shadows will break free." She pulled out her flashlight. Its beam shook as she pointed it at the well. The shadows hissed and pulled back. But the light wasn't enough. The well began to crack open. A black mist rose from inside. The air turned freezing. The shadows screamed louder. She remembered her mother's locket. She opened it. Inside was a small photo of her mother. Behind the photo was a tiny silver cross. She held the cross up high. Light burst from it, filling the chamber. The shadows screamed so loud the walls shook. The black mist boiled and sank back into the well. The cracks in the well sealed shut. The stone glowed faintly. The whispers fell silent. The chamber was quiet. Evelyn fell to her knees. She breathed hard. She knew it was over. The shadows were trapped again, sealed in the well. She looked around. The basement walls seemed older now, almost like ancient cave walls. The air felt dead, empty. The house above was silent. She climbed the stairs. Each step felt lighter than when she came down. She stepped back into the main hall. The first rays of dawn shone through the broken windows. The darkness was gone. Evelyn stood in the main hall as morning light poured across the floor. The house looked empty, felt cold, but not alive anymore. The air was still. There were no whispers, no footsteps, no shadows. She walked through the halls one last time. The ballroom was silent. The library was quiet, the broken mirror still in pieces. The portraits on the walls were completely blank now, like they had never held any faces at all. She knew the curse was over. She stepped outside. The sun was rising, painting the sky pink and gold. Birds sang in the trees. The iron gates of Shadow House stood open. The air smelled fresh for the first time. She looked back at the old mansion. It was just a crumbling building now. The darkness was gone. The house was empty. She whispered, "Goodbye," and walked through the gates, leaving Shadow House behind her forever. She reached home as the morning light filled the streets. Her father was waiting on the porch again. He stood up and hugged her tightly. Neither of them said a word. They didn't need to.